The stock market plunged, and my fund was on the verge of collapse. As the fund manager, I watched with cold eyes as investor after investor leaped from the roof of our corporate building. In my past life, when this crisis hit, I was frantic. I leveraged all my personal resources, borrowing money from every possible source to stabilize the fund and protect my investors. But my husband, in front of a wall of reporters, crucified me. If she hadn't been running a rat's nest of insider trading, the fund would never have collapsed like this. Fueled by a relentless media storm, enraged investors cornered me at my own front door. "You bitch. Wasn't your fat salary enough? You had to steal our life savings and ruin our families." I tried to show them my personal trading account on my phone, to prove I hadn't made a single cent of illicit profit. But my husband produced a screenshot of a chat conversation, proof that I had been directing a relative to make trades on my behalf. The furious mob swarmed into my home, into my bedroom, and beat me to death. After my death, my husband took my place as the fund manager. He rode the market's recovery, became a star, and made a fortune. I opened my eyes again. I was back on the day the fund collapsed. My husband, Leo Chin, burst into my office. "You have the nerve to sit here drinking tea and reading the news? Look at what's happening to the fund you manage." On the 4 large screens before me, a sea of red was punctuated by a few jarring, desperate greens. It was a sight to make anyone's blood run cold. I, however, gently blew on the steam rising from my teacup. The floor-to-ceiling window of my office looked directly out onto the rooftop, which was already crowded with the people who had invested in my fund. Leo snatched the cup from my hand and smashed it on the floor, pointing a trembling finger at the window. "Are you just going to watch them die?" he roared. "How can you be so heartless?" I cast a calm glance at the screen. Leo and I were colleagues at the same firm. His talent, however, was mediocre at best, confining him to the role of a junior researcher. In my previous life, during a bull market, the specific stocks I had heavily invested in had inexplicably plummeted. Leo had stormed into my office then too, screaming about my disregard for human life. Watching the crowd on the roof grow larger, a familiar knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. But the memory of my last life was a cold, steadying hand. Before, I would have already been on that roof, pleading with them, trying to shield them from their despair. But after living through it once, I saw things differently. I shot a cool glance at Leo. He wore a mask of frantic concern, but his eyes kept darting towards the hallway outside my office, where a few suspicious figures loitered. Seeing me unmoved, his agitation grew. "You're the fund manager. Shouldn't you be out there, explaining, calming them down? You have a responsibility to these people. They're suffering these catastrophic losses because they trusted you." I shrugged. Investing carries inherent risks. They signed documents acknowledging that. If their nerves can't handle it, what has that got to do with me? Leo was speechless, stunned by my callousness. "Fine. I see now. It's not just your investment skills that are garbage, your character is rotten. If they find out you're just sitting in here, don't you dare drag me down with you." He then scrambled out of my office, a picture of a man desperate to distance himself from a sinking ship. Who would have thought this was the man I had known and loved for over a decade? The sounds of wailing and shouting from outside grew louder, threatening to tear the roof off. I glanced at the door and, with a soft click of the mouse, set my plan in motion. I stared at the screens, truly baffled. I had personally visited and researched every single company in my portfolio. I had hundreds of pages of detailed analysis for each one. I was certain of their performance. Why were these specific stocks crashing so spectacularly? As I pondered this, my assistant, Sarah Zhang, entered. Her face was pale. "Aurora, the reporters are at the door. Security can't hold them back. Shouldn't you go out and say something?" The scent of her perfume, a cloying rose, made me wrinkle my nose. "I'm not feeling well. I need to use the restroom. Can you handle them for a minute?" It was the same scent from my past life. The one that had triggered a violent allergic reaction, causing me to break out in hives and be sick in the bathroom. I had emerged, weak and disoriented, right into the ambush of reporters. Sarah had stood there and accused me of reckless trading. My research reports, my only defense, had vanished from my computer. I was left defenseless. Now, it all made sense. The perfume was the trigger. My allergy was the distraction. The disappearance of my reports was the result. I couldn't help but stare at Sarah with new, searching eyes. She had joined the firm straight out of college. Disorganized and inept, no other manager wanted her. I had taken pity on her, mentored her, taught her everything she knew. I never expected gratitude, but I never imagined this level of betrayal. The young woman from the front desk rushed in. "Ms. Yang, we really can't stop them anymore. Please, you have to come out." I discreetly slipped a small vial of anti-allergy medication into my pocket. "Have Sarah deal with them for now. I'm really not well, I need the restroom." I made a show of scratching my face and hurried out. I saw a flash of triumph in Sarah's eyes as she watched me go. "Ms. Yang, you go and hide. I'll hold them off for you." The receptionist escorted me out through a side door. Sarah, as expected, did not follow. At the restroom door, I told the receptionist to leave, quickly composed myself, and walked straight back to my office. Sarah was in her element, playing the role of the beleaguered assistant trying to manage the press. When she saw me return so quickly, a flicker of panic crossed her face. How?" She recovered instantly. "It's her. She's the fund manager," she shouted, pointing at me. The reporters descended like vultures. "You're the manager of the Phoenix Fund? Given the massive losses and the investors attempting suicide, do you have any comment?" Facing the blinding flashes, I spoke calmly. "I believe this is a temporary fluctuation. I have complete confidence in the companies I have carefully selected." Sarah cut in sharply. "Carefully selected? You mean randomly chosen?" She held up her phone and played a video. On the screen, a woman who looked like me was shaking dice. The audio, cleverly edited, had me saying, "Oh, which company should I pick today? Let's just roll for it, whatever it lands on, it lands on." It was a video of me playing Monopoly with my son at home. How did she get it? The out-of-context clip sent the reporters into a frenzy. "So you treat billions of dollars of other people's money like a game?" The investors in the crowd roared with fury. "What kind of garbage manager are you, gambling with our life savings? Give us our money back." The air thickened with rage. Eggs flew through the air, splattering against my face and suit. I was a mess. Wiping the yolk from my cheek, I took a deep breath. For every single company in my portfolio, I have written a research report over 100 pages long. That should be proof enough that my selections were not random. Sarah scoffed. "I've been your assistant for years. I've never seen you write a single report. Other managers had their assistants do the research, but I always did it myself, often working late into the night." Of course, she wouldn't know. "If you don't believe me, you can all come with me. I can show you." With an air of absolute certainty, Sarah led the charge into my office. "See for yourselves. Is there any research on her computer? She is completely irresponsible. She's ruined her investors. It's no different from murder." Looking at her face, flushed with righteous indignation, a wave of sorrow washed over me. I calmly logged into my cloud drive and downloaded a multi-gigabyte folder. As it unzipped, hundreds of detailed research reports filled the screen, one for each company. There were even transcripts of my interviews during site visits. The color drained from Sarah's face. In my last life, she had deleted everything from my hard drive while I was in the restroom, leaving me with no defense. This time, I was prepared. The investors peering in from the doorway started to murmur. "Looks like she really did her homework. Maybe we were wrong about her." I knew it. Her performance has been top tier for years. It couldn't all be luck. Yeah, this must be a fluke. It'll probably bounce back in a few days. Don't listen to her lies. A furious roar came from outside. The crowd parted, and a man stepped forward, pointing an accusing finger at me. "She caused the fund to crash by running an insider trading scheme. It was about time." Leo had finally arrived. I had been wondering why Sarah, who never wore perfume, had chosen today of all days to douse herself in rose. The moment I saw Leo, I understood. Only he knew about my severe rose allergy. He stood with his back to me, his voice booming. Doesn't anyone find it strange? The market is doing well, other funds are rising, but hers is the only one taking such a nosedive. A few investors, swayed by his words, looked confused. He's right, that is a bit strange. Leo smiled, a cruel, cunning twist of his lips. That's because she used insider information to buy up massive amounts of these stocks beforehand. She's been dumping them for the past few days, which triggered a panic and crashed the market. Who are you? How would you know all this? Someone shouted. Leo answered coolly, I'm her husband. A collective gasp went through the room. Even her own husband is testifying against her. It must be true. Leo spun around, his face contorted with rage as he pointed at me. Aurora, your salary as a fund manager is more than enough. Why did you have to be so greedy? Do you have any conscience at all? In my past life, it was his words that had turned the crowd into a lynch mob. Now, they were brandishing their fists, their eyes fixed on me like predators. The phantom pain of my last moments echoed through my body. I trembled, grinding my teeth. Leo, if you're going to make accusations, you need evidence. When have I ever traded stocks? I held up my phone, but when I tried to show them my personal trading account, the screen displayed a message, account has been closed. Leo laughed coldly. You've always been cautious. You'd never be stupid enough to use your own account. He held up a piece of paper. This is a transcript of your chat with a relative, detailing exactly how you instructed him on what to buy and sell. He pointed to a line of small text. The date you told him to sell is today. A reporter strode forward and snatched the paper. He's right. I have Aurora Yang's contact info. The profile picture and username match. The crowd erupted. Their eyes were red, their faces twisted with hate. You bitch. Do you know how long it took me to save that money? I only bought your fund because of your past performance. Is this how you repay my trust? Are you even human? That was my retirement fund. I'll kill you. They surged forward. Hands clawed at my neck, squeezing, suffocating me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Stop. A sharp command cut through the chaos. The pressure on my throat suddenly released. Several people in sharp suits pushed through the crowd. Who is Aurora Yang? The mob pointed their resentful fingers at me. The man in the lead flashed an ID. We're from the Securities Regulatory Commission. We've received a report that you've engaged in illegal trading using insider information. Please cooperate with our investigation. Suddenly, a white-haired old woman stumbled forward and dropped to her knees. Officers, you have to help me. My husband died long ago. And I was living on his small pension. Now it's all gone. How am I supposed to live? She then made to slam her head against the wall. The lead agent quickly caught her. Ma'am, please calm down. We will investigate this thoroughly. It was happening all over again. The accusations, the public trial. They were pushing me, step by step, into the same trap. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to remain calm. I have not directed anyone to trade stocks. Officers, I will take responsibility for every word I say. As for my accusers, I ask them to present their evidence. Leo snorted and stepped forward. I am her husband and an employee of this company. I have proof that Aurora Yang's illegal trading is what caused the fund's losses. The SRC agent fixed him with a sharp gaze. Where is your proof? Leo handed over the chat transcript. Here. This is the conversation between Aurora and her relative. The times and stock codes all line up. Sarah jumped in to add her own twist of the knife. Aurora, I never thought you were this kind of person. She turned away, her eyes welling with tears. Officers, she always kept me out of the loop when she was managing the fund. I had no idea she was capable of this. Leo added fuel to the fire. Of course she wouldn't let you see. You would have reported her. He covered his face, his voice thick with pain. She's my wife. This is tearing me apart. He actually started to sob. The investors were moved by his righteous act, assuring him they wouldn't hold him responsible. I turned calmly to the SRC agent. A single piece of paper can be easily forged. It is not sufficient evidence. Leo's face hardened, not a trace of a tear on his cheeks. Aurora, the fact that your fund plummeted against the market is undeniable. Instead of repenting, you're accusing me of slander? I see you won't give up until you're cornered. I let out a small laugh and, in front of everyone, made a phone call. Yes, now would be good. The moment I hung up, a chorus of notification chimes echoed through the room. Everyone looked down at their phones. My money is back. Mine too. Not only are there no losses, I've actually made a profit. What is going on? They all looked up at me, their faces a mixture of confusion and shock. Leo's face was a mask of disbelief. Impossible. He lunged at an investor, snatching the phone to see for himself. I turned calmly back to the official. Officer, as you can see, the investors' funds have not been lost. The accusations against me are therefore baseless. In my past life, I had desperately contacted banks, even mortgaging my own home to cover the losses. But before the money could ever reach their accounts, I was dead. The SRC agent nodded. In that case, there is no need to continue this investigation. As they turned to leave, I spoke up. Wait. The investigation may be over, but my reputation has been severely damaged. I have been slandered. Surely someone must be held accountable for that. A small smile played on my lips as I dialed another number. Hello, police? I'd like to report a case of slander and public disturbance. Leo's face went white. The investors, who had been about to sneak away, were stopped by security. I returned to my office to wait for the police. Outside, I could hear the young women from the firm whispering. Thank God Ms. Young sorted it out. This could have been a disaster for the company. Yeah, but didn't those reporters arrive way too fast? Exactly. It was like they were already waiting. The fund had just started to fall, and they were here. And did you see those lead investors? They looked so shifty. I bet their phones didn't even chime. They probably never even bought the fund. Their words cleared some of the fog in my mind. But I still couldn't understand what I had done to inspire such deep-seated hatred. The numbers on the stock ticker continued to dance. There was no time for sorrow. A thought flashed in my mind. I made another call. Help me pull up his recent trading records. When the police arrived, I gave them a brief statement. Then, an officer walked up to Leo. Did you fabricate rumors to damage Ms. Yang's reputation? The investors, seeing the tide had turned, quickly changed their tune. Yes. It was him. He slandered Ms. Yang. And he's her husband. How could anyone be so shameless? Leo's lips trembled, but he stuck his neck out defiantly. Why are you accusing me of slander? What did I say that was wrong? I held up the chat transcript, which I'd had someone retrieve from the trash and piece back together. Officer, I suspect this document is a forgery. Furthermore, I said, pointing to Sarah, who was cowering in a corner, there is something wrong with the perfume she is wearing. I request that it be investigated as well. At the mention of her name, Sarah could no longer hide. She stepped forward, her voice defiant. Ms. Yang, don't I even have the right to wear perfume? Aren't you taking this too far? Her eyes filled with tears, a picture of pitiful innocence. It was the same act from my last life, her accusations of workplace bullying that had ignited the already volatile crowd. You've worked for me for years and never worn perfume. Why start today? I pressed, my expression unchanging. She stammered, I just felt like wearing it today. Do you have a receipt for this perfume? I continued, relentless. I bought it in a store. I threw the receipt away, she said, a flicker of pride in her eyes at her own quick thinking. Seeing her refusal to admit anything, I had security pull up the surveillance footage from the hallway. Then what is this bottle Leo is giving you? I held up my phone, showing a clear image from my own hidden camera. You may not have a receipt, but I do. Leo had forgotten that I was the one who paid his credit card bills. The statement, sent to my email, showed a recent purchase of rose-scented perfume. The footage from the camera I'd installed outside my office door showed him secretly giving the bottle to Sarah. And only you knew I was allergic to roses. Leo hadn't anticipated this. He paled and stumbled back. So what if I gave her perfume? What does that prove? Then, as if remembering something, a flicker of excitement lit his eyes. Wait, I have more evidence. She had someone bail out the fund, but that doesn't clear her of insider trading. The reporters, who had been about to leave, swarmed back. Are you saying you have key evidence of her illegal trading? Then why didn't you present it to the SRC earlier? Leo feigned a sigh of despair. We were married, after all. I didn't want to be so ruthless. But since she called the police on me, accused me of slander, I have no choice. His face was a mask of anguish. The old woman who had feigned a suicide attempt came over and patted his shoulder. You poor boy. It must be so hard for you, being married to such a heartless woman. I watched their pathetic performance and had to stifle a laugh. But a warning bell sounded in my mind. Did he have something else, something I didn't know about? For years, I had never discussed my work with Leo outside the office. I never would have revealed my holdings. How did he get the information to target my fund so precisely? I couldn't figure it out. Was I doomed to repeat the tragedy of my past life? The horrifying memories threatened to overwhelm me. Just then, my phone buzzed. A file from a friend. The stone in my heart finally dropped. Leo, oblivious, walked towards me with a sinister smile. He knew that illegal trading was a felony for a fund manager, leading to a lifetime ban from the industry and a prison sentence. But even that wasn't enough for him. He wanted me dead. In my last life, as I lay dying, he had stood over my body, ground his heel into my ruined face, and hissed with pure, unadulterated hatred, finally. Now I'm the one standing on top of you. He had hated me for so long. He switched the large screen to a new video feed. It showed a recording from a camera hidden in my own office chair, pointed at my desk. A person wearing my exact clothes was at my computer, speaking into a phone. Just do as I say. Sell these stocks tomorrow. I'll split the money with you, 50-50. Although the video only showed the person's back, the clothes and build were identical to mine. Even the voice was uncannily similar. Leo smirked. You have nothing to say now, do you? The room erupted. Aurora, you may have given us our money back, but you're still guilty. Who knows where you got that money from? Exactly. You probably used your dirty money to cover our losses. Officers, you have to investigate this thoroughly. Don't let her get away with it. A police officer frowned and approached me. Ms. Yang, the evidence is compelling. I'm afraid you'll have to come with us. I took a small step back. Not so fast. You're convinced it's me from a shot of my back? A reporter shouted, Aurora, I've known you for a while. That's your suit, your build. Stop denying it. The young receptionist looked at me, her face full of confusion and disappointment. Ms. Yang, is it really you? How could you do something like this? Those investors could have been ruined. I ignored them all and asked calmly, how about we see the face? The image on the screen switched. It now showed a forward-facing view of the woman in my clothes, wearing a wig and talking on the phone. It was Sarah. She completely lost it. No, impossible. I turned the laptop camera off. She clapped a hand over her mouth, but it was too late. I walked up to her. The camera on the laptop is hardwired to the central corporate security system. You can't turn it off from the device. Someone in the crowd yelled, why would you dress up like her and sit in her office? The receptionist added angrily, Sarah, we all saw how well Ms. Yang treated you. How could you betray her like this? Backed into a corner, Sarah let out a desperate, piercing scream. It was him. He made me do it. It was Leo. Leo strode forward, pointing a vicious finger at her. Sarah, I'm warning you, don't you dare lie. But Sarah was at the end of her rope. With her face plastered on the big screen and security finding the wig and duplicate outfit under her desk, she had nothing left to lose. She lunged at Leo, grabbing his collar. Leo, don't think I'm taking the fall for this alone. If I go down, you're coming with me. You promised me a promotion after you took her place as fund manager. That's the only reason I helped you. Leo shoved her away, and she fell to the ground. A large man from the crowd suddenly punched him. You animal. You frame your own wife, and then you hit a woman? Are you even human? The crowd roared in agreement. Leo's eye began to swell and turn purple. A reporter couldn't resist asking me, but as far as I know, Mr. Cheen doesn't manage any funds. So why did those specific stocks crash so badly today? I didn't answer directly. Instead, I looked at Leo. You know Victor Chi, don't you? Hearing the name, Leo looked as if he'd been struck by lightning. No. I've never heard that name. I widened my eyes in mock surprise. Really? I thought you two were close. After all, you were playing badminton with him just yesterday. Victor Chi was a fund manager at a rival firm. I had been named best fund manager for several years running, and he had always come in second. Reborn, I suddenly remembered Leo's constant refrain, why are you the best? You're not even half the manager Victor Chi is. I had researched hundreds of companies and never once crossed paths with Victor. But I saw him everywhere else, on forums, in interviews, always confident and articulate despite his mediocre results. After attending a particular forum, Leo had started mentioning Victor constantly. My friend works at the badminton club you frequent, I said, my voice dangerously soft. He's heard you two discuss so many stock codes, he's practically memorized them himself. The audio surveillance in that club is quite good, too. Shall I play it for everyone? Leo was still fighting. We're in the same industry. It's normal to discuss stocks. I knew he wouldn't give up. I threw a thick stack of papers on the table. My recent trading records were synchronized with the SRC in real time. In exchange, they agreed to monitor his trades. Yesterday, after your badminton game, he shorted every single stock in my portfolio. Are you going to tell me that's a coincidence? Leo collapsed onto the floor, his eyes filled with disbelief and bitter resentment. Impossible. It can't be you who wins again. Am I destined to live my entire life crushed under your heel? I could only offer a sad, silent laugh. It's not that I won, I thought. It's just that I've lived this life before. Leo and I were college sweethearts. He was smarter, had better grades, and landed a high-paying job right after graduation. But the real world, with its glittering distractions, lured him away from serious work. I, on the other hand, started from the bottom and worked my way up, step by painstaking step. Every year, Leo's performance review was AC. He only kept his job because I pleaded with management on his behalf. Yet he never acknowledged my success, only saw it as a constant reminder of his own failure. The crowd finally understood the whole truth. Their anger now was even greater than before. You scumbag. You gambled with our money to get ahead. Do you have a conscience? A burly man stormed up to him. That was my mother's medical fund. Ms. Yang's track record was good, I was hoping to earn enough to buy my mom the medicine she needs. And you did this. The man's eyes were bloodshot with rage as he rained punch after punch down on Leo. The police turned their heads, pretending not to see. Leo, beaten and breathless, struggled to his feet and rasped, Aurora. I'm not convinced. You're not better than me. How did you climb so high? Just then, the receptionist ran in, frantic. Ms. Yang, the entire market is suddenly crashing. What do we do? A collective gasp went through the crowd. It's all crashing? Are we going to lose our money again? They looked at me, their faces panicked. I calmed them. I anticipated this market shift. I've already moved the majority of the fund's assets into bonds. This downturn will have minimal impact on your investments." A cheer erupted from the crowd. "She did it. Ms. Yang is the best." An investor grabbed my hand. Thank you, thank you. I'm so lucky I invested with you. Otherwise, I'd be ruined." At the back of the crowd, I saw a few shadowy figures trying to slip away. I quickly alerted the police. The old woman, who had been so frail moments before, was now surprisingly agile. The police intercepted her at the main door. I pushed through the crowd. "Ma'am, you've known me for a while, haven't you?" She looked flustered. Who are you?" "I've never sold vegetables near your apartment complex." "Why would I know you?" Her nonsensical denial only confirmed my suspicion. She was the old woman who sold vegetables at my community gate, always trying to shortchange her customers. She didn't even own a smartphone. Leo was one of the few who patronized her stall. It seemed he wasn't just buying vegetables. With a known gossip monger like her spreading rumors, it was no wonder the crowd's emotions were so easily manipulated. Realizing she was caught, the old woman turned and kicked the gasping Leo on the floor. "You useless bum. You said this was a chance to make big money, and you ended up losing everything yourself." The reporter, seeing this delicious new drama unfold, went into a frenzy of picture-taking. Then she sidled up to me, her voice dripping with sycophancy. "Ms. Yang, you are truly brilliant. Such foresight." I remembered the whispers I'd overheard earlier. "Were you nearby today? How did you get here so quickly?" The reporter, a true professional, didn't miss a beat. "I was covering another story nearby and just happened to come over." She leaned in closer. Her voice a low hiss only I could hear. "Don't be a rabid dog, biting everyone you see. Trust me, no one wants to make an enemy of a reporter." I had to smile. "Tell me about your deal with Leo. In return, I'll give you an even bigger story." She studied me, weighing my credibility. I met her gaze without flinching. After a few seconds, she broke. "He contacted me yesterday. He said to be here when the market opened, that there would be big news." She glanced at Leo with disgust. "I didn't expect him to be the news." "Does human suffering taste good?" I asked softly. Her face paled. "What do you mean? As a journalist, is your job just to profit from the misery of ordinary people?" I held up a small audio recorder. In my past life, she was the one who had leaked my personal information. The mob had found me, cornered me, and beaten me for hours before I finally died. And she had stood there, snapping photos the entire time. The last things I remembered were the vicious faces and the frantic clicking of her camera's shutter. The police appeared at the right moment, cuffing the lot of them. "Leo Chin, you are under arrest for slander and illegal securities trading. You're coming with us." As they led him away, Leo looked back at me, his expression a complex mix of emotions. "Aurora, I never realized how meticulous you were. I underestimated you." Tears of bitter laughter streamed down my face. It wasn't meticulousness. It was a lesson written in blood. Months later, the investigation concluded. Leo and Victor were found guilty of collusion and illegal trading for substantial profit. Combined with the slander conviction, Leo was sentenced to 20 years in prison and forfeiture of all illegal gains. He called me from prison. "Wife, I'm truly sorry. Victor tricked me. You were the only one who was ever good to me. Can you sign a letter of forgiveness? It could reduce my sentence. If I behave well, I might get out in a few years. Hello? Are you there? Say something. You fucking bitch." I listened to his desperate rage and silently hung up the phone. Whether his remorse was genuine or just another manipulation, it no longer mattered to me. Actions have consequences. That is a timeless truth. The CEO, just back from an overseas trip, summoned me to his office. "You handled this crisis exceptionally well. You not only recovered the losses but also saved the company's reputation. The promotion we had planned for the end of the year. I've decided to move it up. I was already the most senior fund manager. The only step up was to the executive level. A few of the investors from that day panicked when they heard the news. "Ms. Yang, if you get promoted, will you still manage our fund? If you don't, we don't trust anyone else with our money." I smiled faintly. "There are many excellent fund managers. You can choose according to your needs." I finally said what I had wanted to tell them in my past life. Investing involves both gains and losses. It is crucial to have the right mindset. I turned to the CEO. "Thank you for your recognition." Outside the floor-to-ceiling window, the sky was clear and boundless. In this life, I had finally become the person I was always meant to be.